Hey, and welcome back. We are on day 19 and we're streaming again. I thought it'd be worthwhile today, just kind of documenting some stuff while I'm working on some docs with GraphCMS. I had this idea. Idea is basically to use GraphCMS to um, be the source of truth for our docs. So if we want to store content, let's just try this idea. This came at me maybe it's over the weekend inside of our Slack group. GraphCMS has a Slack group where you can join and you can ask a whole bunch of questions and we'll get back to you. And the team, everyone who is working on GraphCMS here, will dive into a chat. If you want, ask us anything in there, and obviously all of the communities in there as well. So if you are building anything with GraphCMS, feel free to dive on in and join the Slack group. But one of the questions I got over a DM at the weekend was actually using GraphCMS for documentation. And this is funny because recently I have been exploring GraphCMS with writing some new documentation. So I just kind of thought, well, what if we just kind of start to set something up here in GraphCMS to basically scaffold how we could do documentation. So bear with me because this is probably going to be a long video as I kind of build this out and we kind of explore stuff. But I've kind of got an idea that is to use Gatsby because the GraphCMS website currently is built with Gatsby. It kind of makes sense to build a theme, and then we can use that Gatsby theme to source content from GraphCMS. So I'm going to steal a few things to get us going. Jonathan, who has been working on the Gatsby source plugin, has created this Gatsby Starter GraphCMS blog. Gatsby Starter. So we're going to steal probably a few things from this, and we'll need to install this dependency at next because it's not officially released yet, because one of the lower level dependencies is still kind of a work in progress from Gatsby. So I just thought let's maybe just explore what we can do here. So I've began to scaffold some stuff out. And I did this and I thought, well, why don't I just hop on a stream and document what I'm doing? Because I've done this a dozen times, but I thought it might be useful just to kind of stream it, and it's there on YouTube. So let's kind of build something together and learn as we go along and source content from GraphCMS. Now, I know there's a few little things we're going to run into while we're doing this, but I'm hoping all is good. So I'm thinking, right, because we're using Yarn Workspaces, we can say Yarn Workspace, Gatsby theme, GraphCMS docs, add the dependency, Gatsby source, GraphCMS at next, and that will add it to this package JSON. I'm just trying to think if we need to add Gatsby in there as well as a dev dependency. So we'll add those exact versions as dependencies. Dev dependencies. We'll add React DOM, and Gatsby itself. Probably is worth adding those as peer dependencies as well. So we've got those in there, and yeah, let's just mess around and see what we need to do. I'm not thinking we need this base path right now. It would be good to kind of add some options somewhere to allow us to do that. So what should we do, Jamie? What should we do? We've got Gatsby source GraphCMS. Then we're going to need to invoke that plugin in here, right? So I know, having used Gatsby before, config will take in, when it's in a theme, it'll take in the options. So we'll just say this is theme options. And for a good measure, I also have theme options here. That allows us to set some defaults in the theme in one place, so we're not kind of destructuring things and setting defaults as we go through different lifecycle methods in Gatsby. So maybe it's worth importing the default options from the theme options file. And then, how did I do this before? I've done this before. Let me see. So this is 99% of, oops. This is 99% of how I do stuff is I'll just go back and look at previous code now. That's okay. Like that's what we do. We can't remember everything. Now, where did we do this? Was it in the theme transistor? We don't have it there. Where did we do this, Jamie? Where did we do this? Let's try this. Nope. In the source? Nope. Where did we do this? We've done this before. I guess it doesn't matter. We can figure it out. Just check the stream here. Yep. Yeah, default options is we take in the options here, and then we'll just say that, what will this be? Options is, we'll say with theme options, and then we'll pass in theme options, and then we can get what we need from options, because that returns a new object with what we've passed in, spread it in, and obviously we can overwrite or we can set some defaults above. So if we did have that base path, we could set the base path in here to be /docs or whatever. We won't, because we'll come back to that, but it's just good convention that I like to do. And I think Gatsby recommend that as well. So what else do we need in here? We need to obviously return. We need to return our plugins. And it's in here we'll need to configure Gatsby source graph CMS. Plugins, resolve this bad boy. Throw that in there. And then this here is going to come from options. So with this, we'll say this is options dot, I don't know, endpoint. And then we'll destructure the access token as well. Now, we could just say that is token, and then that also takes token. But that's kind of optional, right? I don't know if, it's kind of optional. Let's just not add that for now. And let's go to here. And we'll say the endpoint is going to be whatever we get from GraphCMS. Paste that in there. That's our endpoint. Public API permissions, content from stage publish can be queried. There's no mutations enabled, but let's go ahead and maybe create some content. Now I do have open a example kind of structure of the docs I want. So we'll first create a group and we'll call this group schema perhaps, or getting started. And we will save and publish that. And we'll create a new group. We'll call this schema. And then we'll save, publish, and create another. And then we will create another one called content API. And we'll just save and publish that. And then the pages, well, this probably be a little bit tricky at some point because we're going to need to figure out nested stuff. But let's just create the page introduction. Maybe we need to sort out some ordering as well. And I'll set a manual slug in here. We'll just say hello world. Now, this is markdown as well, so we'll need to transform that markdown. Select a group. We'll say that this belongs to getting started, and we publish. Let's have a look at our groups. Why are you like that? Okay. Schema. We'll go to schema. We'll edit content. We'll add a new page through this way as well, just to show you how that works. So we want to add a page for system fields, and then we can drop some content in here. Do I have system fields open somewhere? I think I do. I'll just add some dummy content in here. We'll preview that. Then we can see we get the system fields come through there. And that link is broken. Not sure what's going on with that. Maybe that's a rendering issue. Oh, no, it's fine. And then we will save and publish that. And finally, we'll go back. Oops, save and publish that. I always forget to do that. Click group, and then we'll go and edit the content API, and we'll add a new page, and we'll call this queries. Now, do I have some content on queries? Let's have a look. Yes, I do. I will, for now, just grab some example code, or content rather, for queries, and we will save and publish that. Then that, we need to save that group as well, and then we can create another one. Let's say we call this one filtering, and let me grab some content for filtering. So we'll add filtering here. Filtering is a slug. And we'll paste in some dummy content, and we'll save. Did I save that? Let's save that up, and we should be good to go now. If we head on over to the API Playground, and we have a look for, if we just close this out, and if we query for groups, and then we get the title of that group, you'll see we get those, and then we can query pages. Then we can query the title of the pages, or the ID, the title. So cool, we've got two inside of Content API, we've got one inside of the others. So I kind of want to make this same query, but locally now. So let's figure that out. We got our endpoint spelled correctly. We'll remove that base path. And I'm pretty certain we should be good to go. Yarn works. It's just yarn dev because we have a script on our workspace. Now I have no idea what's going to happen here. I see that we are transforming some nodes. Our fragments have came down. We have our group, page, and asset fragments, which are cool. They've come down. So it looks to be wired up correctly. Now let's head on over to graphical. And now we can query all GraphCMS group, nodes, pages, title, and we'll get the title of the group, and then we'll run that same query. Awesome, sweet. So that same query is working there as well. Nice. Nice. So I've got no real plans on what we actually explore here or what we do. I'm thinking we're going to need some kind of say we paginate this, right? So we in the node file, Gatsby node file, we query for all pages, and then we just paginate between those pages somehow. We probably need to do some kind of ordering at some point, but yeah, we can come back to that. So Gatsby Node.js. So yeah, we want to write new documentation, and we want to build pages for each of the docs, right? So we'll do exports, create pages, async, and we'll get actions, and we will get GraphQL. Then we need to make that same query here, but maybe we do a query differently. We say all graph CMS page, get all the edges, get all the nodes, get the title. Now then, what else? Oh, we've got next and previous. This is helpful. We can get the ID of the next page and the title. Maybe the slug is more important to us than the ID. Then we'll get the previous slug and title. Cool. So with each docs page, we have the node for the page. We've got previous page if there is one. In this case, there isn't because that's the first. Then we get the next. So already this has given us the fundamentals to our pagination. Sweet. I think I'm going to go with that query. And I'm going to put this inside of here. And we'll have to do const. Let's destructure first of all create to create page from actions. Then we'll go ahead and we'll destructure data from the await. What is it? Just GraphQL, isn't it? Use the function there. We put the query in. Then we're going to get data is going to be the response here. So we need to obviously destructure all graph CMS page edges in here. But first of all, if there is a if there's errors in our data, then we'll need to throw new. Well, we could just throw data.errors, right? That's fine. And then for each of the pages, for each of these, we will do data.graphcms.page.edges.map. Then we'll destructure the previous, next, and node. So next, previous, and node. And then inside of here, it's that we'll run. We don't need a map, do we? We just need to do for each. So here, where I've used map, we can just do for each because we don't need to return anything. We just need to run that function. Yeah. We'll need a component first of all. So we'll say this will be require.resolve. And then we'll put this inside of source, templates, docpage.js. And then we'll need context, which will be node, previous, and next. And then the path, is it the path? Yes, the path will be slash, not source. This will be slash node.slug. So making a query to get all pages from GraphCMS, and for each of those edges we get the node, and then we will need to destructure the slug there. Query the slug, get the title, then we get the slug and title of the previous or next pages. Then for each of those, we create. So this is fairly simple. This is what you do in a typical blog. Same applies, I think, with documentation if you want to paginate through each page. Fairly simple setup. Now then, let's get into the fun stuff. We'll create template source docpage.js. Now I don't know if that name is what we'll stick to, but it kind of makes sense at the moment. So we'll probably need to render the markdown as well from GraphCMS and include a link. So first of all, let's just import. Do we need to import React still with Gatsby? I thought the newest version meant we didn't. Import link from, I was going to do next link, Gatsby link. Then we'll do an export default doc page, and it's here we'll get page context that we pass down here. So all of this is available to us here that we can use. Then we can do whatever we need to do in here. So should we say we'll put a title in here? We'll do node.title, and then we're not querying anything else, but we'll conditionally need to show whether or not there is previous, well, if there's previous or next. If there are, we'll then return some kind of div here. We'll just say hello for now. Whoops. Function. Right, let's just rebuild this and see what happens. So we have a question here. Hey, thanks very much for joining again. I'm just working on generating some, basically, you could call it a documentation engine, or whatever word you want to call it. But I'm building some documentation, like an engine to build static pages for documentation that is saved inside of GraphCMS. So while some people may, including myself, many times have just reached for having markdown files in the file system, it is quite nice sometimes to have that content as CMS, so other people who aren't familiar with the Git workflow can collaborate and make changes, fixes, or whatever on the fly. So yeah, we're just experimenting today. This is something I wanted to look at while I redo the GraphCMS documentation. So currently at graphcms.com/docs. This is the documentation we have right now, but we want to really improve how the content API is documented. So I'm in the process of rewriting all of that with the team here, and we will need to explore how to get that onto the site. Currently, this is obviously using Gatsby, but it's coming from local markdown files. So I'm just kind of using the time today to explore, if it were to come from the CMS, what would that look like? What would the workflow look like? And then we can kind of present it to the team and say, this is one way we could do it. Does this work for us all? And then we kind of we go forward from there. So yeah, that's the documentation I'm working on. So maybe interesting. I'm just kind of documenting what I'm doing today, because I thought it'd be fun. So we got an error. Duplicate name not allowed in this context. Now then, this is where this should be like code interviews, like reading console errors to find where the problem is, because or maybe it's the live stream interviews. That would be fun. Like there's always these whiteboard tests, but actually live streaming is way more difficult to debug because you're thinking about so many things at once. Node. Okay. Why didn't anyone tell me? Why didn't anyone tell me that? Node, node, node. Node next and node. See? I would have passed that interview if that was a whiteboard, wouldn't I? Immediately found the error, went to the error and fixed it. This doesn't happen every time. You could be on for hours before I notice that, and then you read the docs or the error, and you find out what the problem is. So we're still not loading on 3000. That's because there ain't nothing working there. But sweet, we've got /introduction / system fields, queries, and filtering. Now, if we remember, those are in fact the pages we created. So if we go to introduction, we get introduction, and we also get hello. Why do we get hello? Because we said so. We said if we have a previous or next page, then we are to show that. Cool. So what we'll do here is we will say if we have a next page. Do we want next to appear first? I don't know. Don't know what the rules are. We'll say link href. This will go to next dot slug, and then inside of here we'll put next dot title, and then we'll do the same for previous. Now if we go back to the template, we get an error. Wow, I've not seen that error before. Oh, this screen must be new. Now then, what am I doing? Okay. Where are we at? Node title. You likely forgot to export the function. It's not href, is it? It's 2. But I don't think that's our problem. Link to next. Yeah, I don't think we need anything special, right? It's just a link from Gatsby. Destructure it. Do we have to restart the server? Yes, we do. Total nodes 33. Wow. Sweet. Introduction, system fields, we click on that. Then we get queries to go back. Or we get introduction. No, yes. Queries is the next page. Filtering's the next page. Queries is the next page. No, that was back. Yeah, that's back. That's confusing. We need some arrows. Yeah, let's just do this so we can see where we're going. I did that the wrong way. I tried not to do that, and I did it the opposite way. Did I do it again? Maybe we need to put this on different lines to make things nicer. Whatever. Filtering, queries, go back. Yeah, we can move around. This is cool. So that's our pagination for it. And look how easy that was. We just kind of queried for the next page and the previous page on the specific edge nodes. So it's pretty cool. The GraphQL API gives you that. GraphCMS gives you those responses out of the box, which is nice for us. Now then, what is going to be tricky is it is going to be the markdown. And also some kind of TOC menu. Trying to think where we put that now. So we probably need a layout that can render around the whole application. Yeah, maybe so we have a layout file. We could query in here and pass it down to the context, and then the page is responsible for showing the nav. Although we can just do a static query in any of the templates and do it that way, and then the menu's kind of isolated. What do we do? What do we do? Source, files, components, layout. Import React because I'm not sure if we need to or not. Export defaults, function, layout. Will not send anything in, I don't think. We'll do... we'll import use static query and GraphQL from Gatsby. Then we'll do a query, so we'll say this is get groups and pages. We'll say this is a query here. That's basically what we did at the beginning. So we do all GraphCMS group, get the title. Oops. We don't need the edges for this because we don't need next and previous. We just need them all. We'll get the title. We didn't add a slug for that. We added pages though, didn't we? Yeah. Title slug. So that's the query we want to add there. Then up here, we will do data equals use static query, and we'll pass in get groups and pages. That's going to return us data, and then it's going to return us all GraphCMS group. And then inside of here, we'll just say, we'll probably do some fancy flexbox thing at some point. Let's just create a div around all this without a class name. And we'll just say there's a nav here. And inside of that nav, we will put data.allGraphCMS groups nodes.map. We need to map now. And we need to get the title and pages. I'm going to grab the ID as well, and then we'll put that there. And then inside of here, we will create a div, and we'll say the key is of ID. We'll add a little title, and we'll create an unordered list. Well, it's kind of ordered. We'll say pages.map slug and title, and then key is slug. And we pass that title in there. Now let's go ahead and make this a link. We'll say link to slash slug. We'll add that in there, and we'll import link. Now I like to order these based on how I use them. So let's move that around. Let's save that. Nothing's going to work because of the layout. We need to render the children as well. Okay, now what? Potentially use Gatsby's browser and SSR files to wrap the root element. Although with a theme, I wouldn't encourage that because as you kind of compose themes together, it kind of can look a bit weird because you're wrapping themes. So we'll just import the layout in here. And do it this way. Now I have no idea whether this is going to work. This is just what I'm thinking. All graph CMS group. Refresh. Nope. So the page is built, but the layout fails. Right, let's just comment that out. Okay, so we're back to where we were. So is it this? There we go. It doesn't come back in data. It just brings that back. Weird. So here we've got our table of contents. So we can click on any one of these and we can move around. So look, this is looking good already. We've got kind of a table of contents going here instead of our different sections. And this is all powered through GraphCMS. So all of the content is in here as well. So there is a question here, is this JavaScript? And there's an answer that it's Gatsby and it's built on top of JavaScript. That's right. Gatsby is how do they say it? Blazing fast? Blazing fast? Are they still using that? I don't know. It doesn't look like it, but there are I don't know, an open source React framework for creating websites and apps. Basically, they've got a ton of different plugins available. They have a really nice way to source data and content from anywhere you like, whether that be on the file system, on a CMS, on a commerce API, whatever you're building, you can use what they call Gatsby source plugins to source data. And then you can programmatically create pages and it builds it. You know, all these pages are built at build. So, you know, everything's static when you get it on there. Now, the benefit of using Gatsby is because they are statically built, when you view them on the browser, it kind of rehydrates into a fully blown React app. So then as you move around, React does its thing, and you can have a dynamic application as well. So it's nice. A lot of the things now with Vue, Gridsum, Nuxt with Vue as well. There's kind of a few blown up now that are kind of all based around the same idea. Next has some of the principles that Gatsby does now for creating static sites, so that's an option. You know, a lot of these things kind of borrow the same ideas. They're just maybe it's got a different way of how you do things. So check them all out. Gatsby's really pretty cool. So diving back into this, what we are building is we are sourcing content from GraphCMS, which is a GraphQL API. You can add all your content in here. It doesn't just have to be blog posts or documentation. This could be products. It could be, you know, it could be a knowledge base. You could have questions and answers in here, and that could also build the same thing. Any type of content can live in here, and we'll automatically create a API for you, and that API allows you to run some queries to build pages like this. which is cool. So I think the last thing we're going to do is probably look at the markdown before we take a break, and getting markdown in from Graph CMS. I've not done this before. We're going to have to figure this out. We're going to have to figure it out. So if you edit a page, system fields, this is markdown here. Apologies for my resolution being so high, but you can edit the content here in markdown. You can preview the content in Graph CMS, shows what the preview looks like. Now, we can't just put that in the website because content's just going to be markdown. We need to actually make markdown nodes that Gatsby can understand, and then we can render that on the page. Now, I do know, having looked at what we said we would before, where is it? This Graph CMS starter. I think this uses markdown. Let's check out. For the fragments would probably be the best place to tell us, but let's go the long way around. Click blog post. Yeah, it uses MDX. So if you've not seen MDX already, MDX is just a modern way of using Markdown today. Basically allows you to embed JSX React components inside of Markdown and kind of brings them to life, which is really cool. Now, let's go ahead and install that. Let's just have a look at the package JSON here. We're going to need MDX.js. We're going to need these, so why don't we just stop that? We'll do yarn workspace, Gatsby, theme, Graph CMS, docs, I think it was. Add the exact version of Gatsby plugin, MDX, MDX, JS, MDX, at MDX, JS, React. And I think these last two are dependencies of this. They're peer dependencies of there, so we need those. Now, I don't think we need anything else just yet. Not that I can think of. Let's install those. Then we'll go back here and we'll see how Jonathan's configured the Gatsby config for this. So we list in this and nothing else. Okay. I feel you. Put this in here. Now the mother theme, I don't know if it's best place to put this here, or we say that so if I'm doing docs, typically what I may do is have a core theme, which is just in charge of creating the pages, and then there's kind of the sprinkle on top, which allows us to use MDX. It's not so tightly bound to MDX, but we'll go with the flow. We'll see what happens. Then we'll go back into here. We'll go back into the template. We'll go to blog post, and this MDX render we'll place here. And then we need to invoke that on the page. So let's see how that's done. So we'll add that there. And then we'll do, this will be node.content. So now then, this won't work. I'm just going to comment that out. That won't work because two things. One, we aren't querying for content inside of here. But also, that source plugin, it doesn't build Markdown from the Markdown field. It only builds Markdown from the rich text field. Markdown just comes through as the raw Markdown. But we actually need to build some Gatsby nodes from Markdown. And I know I've said Markdown 100 times. But let's have a look at this issue, because this is an ongoing issue that we're looking to support in the future. But at the moment, there is a workaround to get this to go. And this is to say, whenever we create the a Graph CMS model, we'll give this the name we want, and we have a Markdown field. For each of those Markdown fields, go ahead and create that page. Now I know for certain this ain't going to work out of the box. That's for sure. We'll do... What should we do? Let's just destructure that there so we're following a convention. Graph CMS, let's have a look at our model name. It's probably going to be page. Graph CMS page, that's the model name. The markdown field is content. Now you see here, this is string. So we can't automatically build markdown nodes because of that. So we have to convert it. So there is a question. Is it possible to write MDX in Graph CMS? Yeah. You can write markdown, and then maybe we can actually demo something here. So you could do this. You could say hello world. And this could be whatever you want. We'll say Jamie is there, and we'll save this, and then we'll try and get that component to work. We first got to build the markdown nodes. So let's try and figure that out. But that's how you would put that component in there, and that just lives inside of the content. And then when you query it, you will get that. And if you're using the MDX renderer, you pass in a object of components, and if that component matches, it will then render, and it knows how to work. So let's figure that out. Your app markdown node. Now this is where we're going to run into issues because I've not explored this at all. The field we want is content, right? Yep. HE. HE. Now, we don't have HE installed. So let's install that. I'm just guessing it's HE, by the way. It seemed to work. This is fun. Let's import HE. I've not used that, but we'll figure it out. Now then, your app markdown node. I know what we can do here is we can go and view the source of here and see how it does it for rich text, and then we can just copy it. So Graph CMS markdown node. Should have guessed. So the media type is markdown. Content digest. Now we're not importing this. I thought we could do create content digest. Is that possible with Gatsby? Create content digest. Create content digest. We get that from maybes. We get it here. This is what I'm not sure about. We'll say create content digest. Let me just pass in the data, and we haven't got to worry about importing crypto and do an update digest or whatever. We can just do create content digest and put in decoded markdown. Is that right? We'll find out. Go on, dev. Let's run that. Okie doke. Let's go back to localhost. Queries. We're not showing anything. That's probably because we're not rendering the component. But now if we refresh this, and in pages we get content, content still. Wait there. Wait there. Field. So it'll be content node. I didn't see that. Content node. Nothing there. Yeah, it is really powerful. It's really nice to use. You can just literally. There's a few kind of things I would be wary of. One is if you were handing the CMS over to a content editor, they would need to be aware of all of those components. So having some kind of wiki somewhere that people know how to use would be, first of all, the thing that I would probably default to. Like this documentation, for example, one of the components I can think we're going to need to build is tabs, and we'll need to document how you use those tabs, so anybody coming along that is working inside of the MDX, they know how to create tabs properly. Otherwise, you don't know what components are available, so those need to be documented. It would be cool, maybe if GraphCMS inside of here, there was a little button and it kind of had pre-saved components. You clicked on that and it inserted it. But again, it's like, how do you get that in there? You've got to manage those. So there's probably something we can do to improve how you work with MDX inside of GraphCMS. But it is possible. It is powerful. You just need to kind of create a wiki yourself to keep note of what is available. Right, so let's add that there. Let's go back to where should we go? I'll have a look inside of here. Did it? Maybe we have to clean. Nope, we have content there already. Let's just do a yarn clean. And yarn dev. Let's go back here. Content node. Damn. GraphCMS page content. Whoops. It's MDX. GraphCMS markdown node. Okay. So let's go ahead and we'll invite Jonathan, who's been working on this, to the stream. So I'll get him added in now, and we can go through. We can get Jonathan to fix it. Hello.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good.
What are we working on?
We've been using the we've been building a few things. So first of all, we've been building this simple group and page concept in GraphCMS. So a group of pages, and it can be used for documentation. And then we've been using the source plugin to source that content and create pages here. So that's the query that runs, and these are the different edges, and we get the next and previous. So when we go here, we can filter through those. Very basic, very similar to a blog or whatever. Then we've got these here. Now the one thing, obviously, I'm looking at now is adding the markdown content, and I've not done this. And I know you commented on that issue on how you could do it inside of the source plugin. So I'd be interested to see where or how we can get that to work, because right now it's not building the markdown, the node content field.
All right.
I've imported HE. I'm guessing that's what you were referring to down here. And then we've got the field content on the GraphCMS page. And then this is create a node markdown node, but it doesn't seem to do it. Maybe I can share this link as well.
Okay, so I think when I was trying this out myself to extend the essentially extend the Gatsby schema to use Markdown or create MDX from Markdown fields.
Yeah.
The thing that I came across that was giving me trouble was the type. The internal type, essentially you shouldn't be able to generate types. Essentially you're generating a type there. Also, you might be missing the schema customization beneath this to actually add the fields to the schema. So there's a couple of things here.
Yeah.
But so I think what we should do is actually, I think I missed that from my example in that issue.
Yeah, you did.
But if you can essentially put it from the internals of the source plugin. So if you go into the source plugin, Gatsby node file.
You've got access to edit this now, right?
Yeah, sorry, it's asking me to authenticate.
Yeah. So yeah, we've created the nodes, but we haven't linked them. Is that right?
You've linked them, but essentially, they don't exist in the schema. So what you want to have is something like
create schema customization, and then link to that.
So it would be pull this up. It's what I made earlier. Just pull directly from there.
Okay.
So obviously we don't need those options. Your type was what? What's in here?
There's GraphCMS page, and then it would be content node. Is that right?
Yeah, so what's going to happen is, because you'll not be able to use that internal type because this type, we can't create this type because it already exists in the schema from the source plugin.
Okay.
So essentially, it's going to be like content, did you say?
The field we use, in the array at the top, content, that's the name in GraphCMS, and that's a markdown field.
Yeah, so essentially this needs to be something like something like that. just shouldn't need that because we're not nesting this type on a pre-existing type.
Yeah.
So now when this rebuilds, we should hopefully have a a docs underscore markdown node type.
Yeah.
And then you'll have the content node field. Content node field on side of your GraphCMS page type.
Yeah. Before it was creating GraphCMS markdown node. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's already created from the source plugin.
Right. I thought you had to enable that, which we weren't. So that's why I named it the same. That's why I named it that.
Right. Yeah, it was probably creating the nodes, but it wouldn't have been creating the type. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's just see.
Right.
So you should hopefully have a content GraphCMS or docs markdown node now.
The docs markdown node.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess on GraphCMS page now you should be able to query for content node. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. What did we have there? Okay, so I think this might do it. If you add the type to the page, so it'll be like, and that'll be docs node, docs markdown node, and then it's a link because it's linked to an actual node. May need to rebuild. Yeah, the Gatsby schema stuff's pretty. Yeah, plug in Gatsby GraphCMS. Let's just customize the GraphQL type GraphCMS page, which has already. So it's just a warning, which
there we go.
Shouldn't be an issue. Is it there?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Body. Cool. So then we can pass that content node child MDX body to the
your MDX renderer here.
Yeah. Just unwatch. MDX renderer. Content node child MDX body. Go here. Child MDX is undefined. Content.
You're querying for it?
No, I'm not.
I'll do it.
Content node, child MDX, body.
Sometimes those queries rerun. I don't know.
Okay.
Sometimes.
I've just got memory muscle now. Anytime I do anything, it's just like Control tilde, Control C, up, return.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Nice.
Sweet. Nice. So that's pretty cool. That's fetching from the CMS.
Yeah, so sorry.
No, go on.
Yeah, so because you haven't automatically you haven't opted in to use to build the markdown nodes from the source plugin, we didn't need to change that type as we did. Um, yeah, if you were in the config, for example, if you just follow me for a second, I think there's a parameter. So if you had that, yeah. So it would build Markdown types or Markdown node types for any rich text field, because you're not using rich text, which is why we're going down this rabbit hole. Because you're not doing that, that GraphCMS Markdown type doesn't exist, so you could, in theory, use that if you wanted.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm happy with it being
one thing I could do is potentially make kind of the type configurable in here. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you commented on that issue. That obviously we need the API to natively support it, but it'd be quite handy, that function you have written, to have that as maybe something you can just import if you need to use, like from the theme or from the plugin, or I don't know. Maybe it's just in the example or whatever in the README, but it'd be quite helpful.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to make that, export that and make that available to consuming clients.
Yeah.
As a helper function, because it does get kind of tricky. But then as well, there is also a lot of other dependencies that brings along, like, I use that HA thing to code the string just in case there's any kind of encoded HTML characters and stuff. So it should at least document it.
Yeah, we should. So there's a question earlier on whether or not it's possible to write MDX in GraphCMS, and I explained that you can go about doing this. So what I'd like to do to just kind of answer that question is go through creating a component that renders the name on the page from this React component. Now, I'm just going to do this from memory because I think I know what I'm doing. Dangerous words. But I think we pass components here.
Right.
And then we just need a const of components of objects, and one has to match hello world. And then this is just a normal function at this point, so we could destructure name from here, and then we could just return hello name.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we go back, this was on system fields page. And we go to the bottom, refresh. Nope. Did we save it? I'm just going to reboot.
You probably will need to, because you'll have made changes in the CMS, so I'll have to refetch that data.
Yeah. Are we working? It's still not there. I may have got the way you implement that. There, div name, Jamie.
Sorry.
So was that a decode?
What did you pass? What did you pass components to there?
Oh, the MDX renderer.
Yeah, you need to pass it to provider.
Provider, yeah. So we just do MDX provider.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, my favorite screen. That's not from there either, is it? It's from MDX React.
What, the provider?
There we go. Yeah, got it. So there we go. We've got hello world. So that's pretty cool. Like, we've got hello world coming from graph CMS, and that's Markdown. That's MDX working right there. Got hello world, and we can change this to be, hello. We save that, publish, refresh. We'll need to restart, fetch the new content. Refresh this page. And there we go. Got the new text coming through. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
That's going to work when it comes to like doing tabs, I'm thinking, or multiple code blocks. If you could obviously have code blocks like this. Anyone knows working with the code blocks component is really fiddly. You've kind of got to check to see if it's got children. If it has got children, or it's got multiple children, then it's multi-line. Otherwise, it's just like doing that. Then you say, okay, render a pre-tag instead or whatever. But that'll be fun. I'll probably cover that in a few days on a stream. I'm going to get rid of that components thing, I think, for now. That MDX provider, could you wrap the whole thing in MDX provider? Is it worth doing it that way instead of on each page?
Yeah, so normally you would probably include that inside of Gatsby SSR, Gatsby browser, and wrap the entire root page with that provider. And then those components are available at any MDX renderer across any page.
Yeah. So the Gatsby SSR, and we'll do export that from Gatsby browser. I'll need to import them.
So I'd assume that one annoyance of working with Gatsby and something that is constantly going to be updated when you're working on it in the CMS, like docs, is obviously the rebuild stuff.
Yeah.
That would be a bit of a annoyance. There are some potential workarounds, or should I say a feature to utilize that could help there.
Yeah. My first thought is obviously there's the preview part in here. So in the CMS, it's simple to preview Markdown, but obviously MDX, you got no chance. Hopefully with some UI extensions, you could add your own, but it would probably mean duplicating and maintaining two lots of code. So I don't know. But we got that working. So
yeah. So this what I was going to say is essentially the source plugin will take care of kind of dynamic rebuilds of nodes. So you can pair that with GraphCMS webhooks. So when there's a saved entry inside of the CMS, that webhook will fire, and Gatsby will that webhook will fire to your local Gatsby environment, and essentially that node will be rebuilt by the source plugin within a couple of seconds. So that would be potentially a nice setup for working on this locally. If you were kind of writing content and you wanted to see it on the page and stuff like that.
Yeah. That'd be cool. So that's pretty hot. It's pretty good. What was the flag? Is there a flag for that? Did you say?
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, so the flag is, and I can't find the doc for this, but it does exist. And I'll put this in the comment, the private chat in the stream here.
Yeah, and that just goes before the dev command.
Right, I found the link now, so I'll drop the link in if you wanted to pull it up.
Just put in the chat, yeah.
Yeah.
If you just comment on the actual video, I don't know if you've got that open.
All right, cool, yeah.
And then I can just add it. I can add it into the video.
I'll open it on YouTube. Let me comment. Yeah. Yeah, so that flag essentially exposes a refresh endpoint, local refresh endpoint, so localhost 8000 / _refresh. So then you can pair that with GraphCMS webhooks, which are free, and the source plugin will essentially rebuild that specific node.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be pretty quick. It's cool.
So to get that to work, that I've added in here,
right?
Do I need a webhook?
Yes, you'd need a webhook, and you'd need something like ngrok.
Yeah.
An ngrok tunnel.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to remove that. I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a bit of setup, but it's potentially a nice workflow.
Yeah, I can imagine it being changes in the CMS, and it's immediately updated in your dev environment. You haven't got to rebuild those nodes, but it comes with having to run ngrok. I don't pay for ngrok, so the endpoints change, and that's a bit annoying. So maybe it's a good upsell. You should get an affiliate link.
Alternatively, you can use Gatsby Cloud, and you get a preview link there, which is essentially the same thing, but it's a static preview link, and it'll basically be, preview draft content as you're writing it, using the same kind of underlying technologies, webhooks, source plugin rebuilds.
Yeah. Okay. So where I got to this anyway was it's a Gatsby theme. So it's quite interesting because the theme will bring down GraphCMS fragments as well. And there could be a clash there. So I'm quite keen to see what would happen in that case.
Right, because you see your
So there's potentially going to be a clash at some point if you were to use the theme. It doesn't have to be a theme. It just means this could be potentially worked on outside of anything else that depends on it, like the website. So it's its own thing, and docs can be kind of ran themselves, and also they can be embedded in the site. But I'm not sure what will happen with asset because that's a duplication. Will it matter? I don't know if it's scoped to the theme or whatever.
Those fragments, those query fragments, are generated from the GraphCMS schema, and essentially the way that the source plugin works is on first run it'll compile these fragments, which is essentially a mirror of your remote GraphCMS schema, and then they are used in future builds to then query for that data. And the reason why we use these is because the source plugin can't generate every permutation of fields and arguments. For example, if you've got a relation field on a type, and there's obviously all the arguments that come with that for nested fields, the source plugin can't generate all them, so you have to kind of write those yourself inside of these fragments. There's a good example of that on the graphcms.com site for like when we're querying for case studies. We're looking for a featured case study, which is a flag on that type. But we can't write that in the direct queries. So you've got to essentially, we're making up an aliased field called featured case studies, which then has the required field arguments, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So they are scoped essentially to that specific CMS project. So if somebody else was to use this theme, you wouldn't want those to be pulled down. So I guess you could yarn ignore them if you ever publish in that, or git ignore as well. So that when that package is published and somebody npm installs, they don't get the fragments, and they would generate their own when they put their GraphCMS project in.
Yeah, this is the demo folder. So for the that's fine for the package to publish those, I guess. It's just when somebody installs this, like if you went ahead and installed this once it's published, that is then going to create fragments as well, but it's going to generate the same folder that already exists if someone is already using that. So do we need to give this a specific name for the fragments? Could we call this docs, GraphCMS docs fragment?
I see what you're saying. So if you're using multiple instances, for example, on GraphCMS.com, we're using this to power the marketing site.
Yeah.
And it obviously generates fragments for that. So yeah, you can. So if you pull up sorry, I completely missed what you're saying. If you pull up the repository for the source plugin, there is a config option, I believe, called fragments path. Yeah, and you'll see there's a note. If you're using multiple instances of the source plugin, you must provide a value here to prevent type or fragment conflict. So yeah, I missed what you were saying.
No worries. So we should probably pass that regardless. Just to be on the safe side. Like if this is going to be a theme, it makes sense that the theme, maybe the theme options is GraphCMS docs fragments. Fragments path, and we get that inside of config. And then we say that is there. Now, if we stop and restart, we could pass. There, it's created that GraphCMS docs fragments folder. We can get rid of that old one. And then if somebody was to install Gatsby theme GraphCMS docs, they could also pass fragments path as a custom option. So this could be called Jonathan. Restart that, it will create a folder called Jonathan. Otherwise, the default will be now GraphCMS docs fragments. So there, it's created Jonathan.
Yeah, so GraphCMS.com essentially has two different projects. So we've got two instances of the source plugin. So yeah, we use that fragments path option. A lot of dog fooding was used when writing that source plugin.
I thought you didn't have to import React anymore. I may have dreamt that.
I think that's something that's coming up. I don't think they've released that yet, but I've also read that.
Yeah, cool. See where we are at. Cool. The other thing, obviously we're going to need a root page here. We could potentially be a bit smart and create index pages for the groups. But for now, I think I'll just leave it like this. We will need to do some kind of ordering though. So like at the moment, getting started schema and content API is just coming back because I added them in that order. But I want to be able to order the groups. So it's probably, there's no way to order root types. Just the relations. So relations is quite fine. You can rely on the UI to do that to some extent. But means we have to kind of have an order, a position integer on the group model in GraphCMS. I don't know. I'm not too sure about that just yet. Like if we go and edit a group, we go content API, I can move these around, and that'll return that order will be returned, but there's no way to order these. What these groups are returned in.
Yeah, need some kind of.
I don't know what that does.
Guess it's a way of filtering a table.
Okay. What about images? If you use images inside of content, how would you approach rendering those with, say, Gatsby image? Is there a way to do that you've discovered? Could we use MDX?
Yeah, so you can use
an image component there.
Yes, obviously, if you're using a markdown field, it's going to return markdown as opposed to HTML. So you could essentially just pass in a image component to your MDX provider, or there is also Remark plugins you can use with MDX. Yes, you can essentially. I think there's a Gatsby Remark video which will just kind of take inline videos and wrap them in a video tag and so on.
Okay, yeah. So like we did with the Hello World component, you just do like img, and then you could just override the default image handling.
I'm not sure how. Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work.
Because it's just gonna have the URL, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how the markdown field is returned from the markdown is returned from GraphCMS for a video. Like if you're just using if you just kind of use the asset selection, I don't know can you do that in the content editor?
No, you can if it's rich text.
Right, just rich text.
Yeah. I don't know if you can insert assets into the content, into the rich text that are on your site.
Not in your project.
Yes, yeah, so if we had a field here and we edited and you clicked image. It's going to add the media URL. That's what it's going to do there. It's going to add media.graphcms.com/handle, and that'll just go in as a normal markdown image. So I suppose you couldn't build markdown nodes for that, but you could in the image component check to see whether the URL starts with media.graphcms, and then render the image differently or whatever. But you couldn't query that asset. It's just going to return the URL to the asset. You couldn't transform that asset in Markdown. If you catch my drift. Like that just returns a string. I can't then go and say, images.
Right.
Transform.
But you'd be able to kind of, you'd probably be able to build image nodes from that with some work. So you could build image nodes to use Gatsby image. 1 second. I've seen this before. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'll leave that homework with you.
Oh, thanks.
Cool. So there's quite a bit of activity earlier on in the stream. Plenty of good questions and comments. So I just kind of wanted to spend an hour or so today exploring if we were to use the CMS as a source of content for docs, what would it look like? And it was a lot easier than I thought. We've pretty much, apart from styling it, we're pretty much there. Ordering, and we're done. Job done. So maybe, I might stream again tomorrow and work on a component for something. Maybe we've got, we want to alert people in the current GraphCMS docs. Where do we have? I think we got this kind of alert info box that uses MDX currently, so we need to create a component for that. This code component, we'd need to. I'd want to redo this so we can do something there. Maybe nest those inside of tabs as well. Awesome.
I think you should just PR the Tailwind typography plugin just for this, for now, and make it a lot more readable, I think. Just the existing docs, give them a bit of love.
Yeah, this is the because all the same components from the marketing site are being used. It's like a bit big.
Yeah.
To do it, but I do want to, and maybe this is where you can come in and save the day. But maybe as we have /docs new or whatever, or beta, and we get that theme running there with source, and then not have it interfere with anything else in the site. Maybe we can explore that. I would try it now, but I always run into issues with Yarn Link in Gatsby. So
really,
yeah,
it actually works alright for me now. I'm not sure what I've done, but I can link fine.
I just run Yarn Link and it's just like, no thanks. It just doesn't work. I don't know. Let's try it.
What, inside a GraphCMS.com repo?
Yeah.
Oh god.
I'm just I have it open on another window. 2 seconds. Keep doing git checkout main because that's what I use now by default. And it's not changed. Just pulling those changes down.
Yeah, some of the new repos that I've created start getting the main default repo, and they're going to add. I think they're working on tooling so you can just kind of easily transition from master to main on existing repositories rather than having to do the legwork yourself. They're adding like essentially a button that'll switch it.
Yeah, that'd be good. So demo Gatsby config. Inside of here, we just need to do yarn link. Yes, and then not inside of there.
Yep.
We need to do it inside of the folder. That's theme yarn link. Then we can do inside of here yarn link.
It's weird because I can only see one of the VS Code Windows project.
Oh yeah.
So
You have to open your browser and then I yeah, be delayed. Or is it in
right.
sync in StreamYard? If you have a look in StreamYard, it should be
Yeah.
in sync. Okay. So because we've linked it, do we need to put it in the package JSON? I can't remember. It's been a while.
Yes. Yeah.
And we don't have to put a path. We can just say it's any version, right?
Yeah. I just use the wildcard like that.
Yeah. And then GraphCMS config is in plugins. Yes. I'm just going to put it at the top. Resolve Gatsby theme GraphCMS docs. And then the options will be endpoint here. Now then. The first problem is it's going to build it /docs. No, it's not. It's going to build at the root. Which might not be too bad because we don't have any of the pages named the same, but we'll need to accommodate for that. So we've got like /introduction, system fields, queries and filtering. It'll not be too bad. But let's yarn dev. I'm just going to go grab a coffee, take a short walk, and then I'll come back.
Oh, well, that didn't take long.
You must provide your GraphCMS endpoint.
So yeah, so your config's not making it to the source plugin.
See, yarn link never works. It works fine here, Jonathan.
Oh, hang on. Go back. No, the other project, the other window. You've got that inside of the remark plugins.
Oh yeah. Before when I was talking about whiteboard interviews, like this is probably a good whiteboard interview, like install a Gatsby plugin. I would have failed there.
Yeah. Hard fail.
Let's try that again. Nope.
Oh.
That's what I'll do. I'll put it there. But it doesn't work. Yarn link never works.
It works for me. That's weird. But it can't be yarn link because it's obviously it would just say that the package theme GraphCMS docs didn't exist.
I know what it is. It's the landing pages endpoint. Do you have that? Can you send me that? That's what it'll be.
Random. Oh, I see. Yeah, one sec. The API endpoint.
Yeah.
It's Ronak's fault.
Oh,
It's Ronak's fault. Yeah, I'll drop it in the private chat. Probably want to put this as an n variable.
Yeah. Do you know what the full thing is called?
What's that?
Is it like GraphCMS LP endpoint or something?
LP underscore endpoint, I think.
Yeah. Oh, LP token as well.
Actually. Let me check.
Yeah, it needs a token.
It doesn't.
No?
Public API permissions. For some reason are allowed. Don't know why, but okay.
I'll just close that environment. Bring that back over. So that was probably the issue we had before. Thanks for the like on Twitter, Dominic and Carl. We're having great fun today with Gatsby and GraphCMS and themes and YarnLink and the source plugin that you built. So things seem to be working, but now they're not. Whoa. Okay. Oh, this is fun.
Now this might be a YarnLink issue. I can't even see the error. Yeah. Yeah, can I find module Gatsby remark images?
What? See, I've never ever put it inside of here, and it's just worked. Oh, I'm gonna try this. Like, YarnLink never works when I do that. This is thrilling YouTube content, watching Yarn install dependencies.
I mean, it's a pretty fair reflection of JavaScript development. Wrestling with node modules.
It should just be like, instead of 100 days of code, it's like 100 days of npm install.
100 days of node module.
Nope, we're still got problems. I mean,
Yeah.
this serves me right because I didn't want to do this today, but I thought I'd be a smart ass and do it. Can you get rid of those Gatsby toolkit messages or not?
No, but I believe there will be an option to silence them, and you can pass a flag in if you want them.
Cool.
But not currently. Still a work in progress, I believe.
I mean, it's nice if you got like one or two more.
Yeah, there'll be one rather than each type. There'll be like a one building whatever for.
Yeah. It's already been defined. Okay. GraphCMS page.
So this is why. So there's a type prefix option for the source plugin, which you can override, which is what you'll have to do here. Again, if you've got multiple instances of the source plugin, as you do in this case. Yeah.
Nice. You thought of everything.
Well, those two additions to the config were a result of us adding another instance of the source plugin to graphcms.com.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't working initially. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to add this, add another type, add more configs. So that's why.
Okay, run that again. So we have another question. Am I the only one watching the streaming? Probably. Probably.
Everybody left when Yarn failed.
Yeah. So yeah, now there was a few other people on earlier on asking questions about MDX, which was good because it's becoming more popular now, I guess. And with the CMS, it's even more powerful. So yeah, cannot find module Gatsby remark images. I don't know. It's not important that we do this right now. It would have been nice to see how that
time to call it a day.
just worked. Yeah, So it probably is time to call it a day on that one. So if we go back and run yarn dev, okay, here's another question for you then. Inside of here, this will be graphs, CMS, docs, theme page.
Right, yeah.
Is there no way to programmatically to create this? So you can get those options?
Yeah, you can get the let me see. Check the API for that. Not sure if the options are available on schema customization.
Yeah.
Guess you could just kind of have a look, just see what's available, what other arguments are available.
So graph CMS page. Yeah, when we were talking about the naming of this stuff earlier, like docs markdown node, it probably would make sense to like be really specific here. Say graph CMS docs theme markdown node or something, and use that name for everything. So if someone does have multiple instances of the source plugin, then if they did create something called docs, there's going to be no conflicts. Which I would like to be customizable through the theme options.
You can get that. You can get that from here. That'll be
here. Yeah. Yeah. So if we,
but I don't think it's available here. Oh,
one sec. Where are you?
Sorry. I'm following you, so it's just jumping
yeah.
around. I was just there. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's available here, so maybe just see what else is here. I don't, but according to the docs, there's just this actions
Okay.
option object.
Yeah, I mean, we could see what's left. Then this thing here, I would just do, what did I call it before? Theme options. Theme options, and then inside of here, we'll do, you could have a custom name with default theme. Yeah, it does. It does have the theme options. It's the second object.
Ah, nice. Well, we should like PR Gatsby's docs. Get yourself a free T-shirt.
Awesome.
Because that is not on their docs.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's available as a second argument. And then obviously,
yeah, because I need to. I'd have to do that actually because. Yeah, I should probably update source plugin to use that because you can customize the type prefix, but in my create schema customization function, I'm just using the default, so it's going to fail.
Glad I could help.
You're welcome.
So what is this called? Type prefix. Yes. So it's like, how do you get that in there? Can I literally just do that? Would that be good?
Let me see. What is with theme option? Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the right file. So Jonathan, somebody has asked, what is the difference between yarn and npm?
This is your stream.
I think today they're pretty much the same.
Right, they just have a different kind of. I mean, they both use the same registry, essentially.
Yeah, I
It's
do think
just
yarn
different.
is faster.
Right, when Yarn first came about, it was faster than like resolution of modules and stuff. And it had. Then they do something with like it had essentially had a smaller footprint. Like in
I don't
node
know.
modules had a smaller footprint because they kind of shared, uh, like they had a central like, kind of uh, central registry on your computer kind of thing. So if you had Gatsby installed in 7 different projects, it was actually only one guy. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. I remember seeing
Austin,
something like that, but
Austin, I would Google that because we did not answer that sufficiently.
yeah.
But yeah, it's preference really as to what you use. I like
I'm
Yarn
back.
because they have workspaces, but npm 7 I think just came out and they've got workspaces.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of
I'm
people
an
don't like
npm user
Yarn.
now.
Yeah, a lot of people don't use Yarn because of the whole Facebook thing, but then use GraphQL and React. So don't the Jamie.
Yeah. Ah well,
Double
GraphQL.
standards.
Well, it's not part of Facebook anymore, is it?
No, it's its own.
Well, GraphQL is part of the foundation.
Yeah, it's got its own kind of.
But I think obviously React is still very heavily endorsed. But the license has changed. I don't even know what I'm looking for anymore. I was checking the type name, wasn't it? GraphCMS docs. GraphCMS. Markdown node. Docs markdown node. I don't think you can do this, but maybe you can.
What?
Inside the template literals, use the type name prefix.
Yeah,
like
you can. Yeah.
I don't know why they were
Doing the source plugin, yeah. Obviously, that's how I'm doing. Essentially, it's how I'm doing it in the source plugin. Using the type prefix to, yeah.
It's not working.
Also, actually, yeah, I saw something fail in the terminal. I'm not sure what it was. Yarn clean. Fuck. Oh. There you go. You haven't destructured theme options from the creates customization function, so it's undefined.
Of course it is. I told you that. Why didn't you tell me?
Eagle eye.
You're welcome, Austin. I'm pleased we butchered the stuff like that. Errors.
Yeah, I mean,
when your errors are undefined, you know you've got a problem.
yeah, it's just because data is undefined.
Yeah.
I think you just call it a day.
I think I call it a day. I think I revert.
You've been on for 2 hours.
No, I'm going to revert what we did here. Let's just undo. Get back to its base. Okay, run it again. And hopefully we are working again. Ah, it's still not working. What did we break? Docs Markdown node.
What's that? Sorry.
I think it's just Docs Markdown node doesn't have the right name. But also, you see this type here? We've got type GraphCMS page. I'd also need to prefix that with that now, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Because that is the type name, the new type name.
Also this. Line 51.
Mhm. Nope. I don't know what I've done.
I'm trying to find the error.
Content node GraphCMS page. We're not using that anyway, are we?
It must be queried somewhere. Obviously, that type doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Page content node. GraphCMS docs theme page.
Yeah, so it'll be.
It
You
doesn't
need to
have
update
anything
your
else.
query. You need to update your query
Ah,
because that type doesn't exist. So it'll be GraphCMS theme docs page or whatever.
in here, in the fragment.
No, in Gatsby node, in the actual query, in the create pages function. This would be GraphCMS theme box or whatever it was. So that was essentially a type that didn't exist.
Oh no. We've got all GraphCMS docs the markdown node.
Right, that GraphCMS page type will exist because it's from the other project. But content node isn't a field on side of that because you haven't built it. You built it on that. That makes sense.
Nope.
Okay, so you just need to update the query in Gatsby node.
This,
Yeah, there. Yeah, I've updated it, I think, to the right type.
But that doesn't work inside of graphical. That's not a valid query. It still returns the node GraphCMS page. It hasn't been renamed there.
Hang on. Go back to the full. No, go back to graphical.
Yeah.
See, I can't view graphical. So go back to the full, like the Explorer on the left side. Okay, interesting. Show me the config for this. Wow. Is this the config?
That's the options there. With the theme name. Type prefix.
Are we inside of this demo directory, or are we inside the GraphCMS project?
The demo, not inside GraphCMS.com.
One sec.
Maybe I need to pass this through here.
Yeah, you will. Yeah. Really, you should just do theme up, like with theme options here. And see if you haven't to destructure and pass them in.
Yeah.
I don't think that query updated.
There, we got it now.
Is that the right type? Oh
There
my
we go.
god, option click does not work.
So now we just need to update that. Restart. Change where we're using that.
Yeah.
Do we use in the template? Nope.
Yeah, there's another query, all graph CMS group. So again, that type doesn't exist.
Yeah. Layout. No errors. Although, I don't see how this works now. That worked. It shouldn't create... it did. So that's working, but back inside of Gatsby node. Yeah, it does. We just didn't use the type prefix. So to finish this up, we will destructure type prefix from there. Gatsby node. Now, that's obviously a problem.
You should be able to use temporal literals.
Yeah.
But
it's not.
yeah, you'll have to kind of. Yeah, you'll have to clean the string, kill the underscore, etc. Yeah, but it'll work.
Theme options. What do I call it? Yeah, and then change that there to be type prefix. Get theme options. We'll do const destructure type prefix from with theme options. Pass in the theme options. Run that. Start that. Clean. Dev. Done. We got an error. Great. No problem.
What's the error, Jamie? edges. Cannot query field content node of GraphCMS docs theme page.
So GraphCMS docs theme. Cool. Right. I'll leave it there for now, and then come back to that, because I'm just trying to
Fantastic.
be smart. It's not working.
Yeah. Aye.
Cool. Thanks very much for tuning in, and thanks very much for yeah, we just got a question. Does GraphCMS have an office in the UK? GraphCMS is remotely based. We have people all over the world. Myself and Jonathan, we are in the UK. And today I just thought I'd stream what I'm working on. Just because. So yeah, thanks very much for tuning in. Thanks very much for Jonathan for joining and show me around how to use the plugin. It's been great. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time. Happy coding.